Hi, I'm Ryan, this is Mabel, and you're watching the Rusteration Project. So in this episode today, we're going to be pulling out fluids out of the car. We're finally starting the strip down. I know I said it would be October, unfortunately work and things like that have gotten in the way. But today will be the first proper episode of this YouTube channel of me actually starting to strip the car. So yeah, we're going to get oil, diff fluid, gearbox oil, power steering fluid, fuel, any fluids that are in car out of it, and then from there we may tackle extra bits depending on what sort of time I've got left. So first thing I'm going to do is get the car jacked up, bonnet open, and crack on from there. So first thing we're going to drain it is the coolant, then the engine oil, gearbox oil, diff oil, brake fluid, clutch line, and then last but not least, going to drain all the fuel out of the car. So to drain the coolant, first thing we're going to do, pop the coolant cap off, and then we're going to go underneath the car and grab our oil pan, and then at the bottom of the radiator, just here, there's a little Phillips head screw. We're just going to undo that, and that should drain most of the coolant out of the car. So now that it's just the last couple of drips, just going to chuck plug back in, just so we don't lose it. Quick little wipe, and then we're going to dispose of coolant, then we'll get the engine oil dropped. So I've just repositioned the camera just to show you where the sump plug is. It's just on bottom at sump. In my case, because I've put a magnetic sump plug in there, it's a 14mm, so I'm just going to crack that loose. I think on the original sump plug it's a 17mm bolt, but I can't remember for certain. Part of my washer's just snapped off, so that could have been what were causing part of the oil leak. There's also quite a bit of sediment in there, so not sure what's going on with that. Pop that off to one side and I can investigate that later. So just doing a bit of better light, a quick look at that sump plug. As you can see, it is a bit mushroomy on the top. That's all metal particles, I think. Just give it a wipe off. Yeah, it's don't look good. Might have to investigate that further at a later date. So coming under passenger side of the car now, we're going to drain gearbox oil. Good tip is, if you can, there's a 14mm filler plug, if I can get my hand to it, just here-ish, somewhere there. Always undo that first, because if you can't undo that, you might be in a world of pain trying to fill your gearbox back up with oil, and it also helps the oil drain easier. Then you've got your 24mm drain plug. So first of all, we're going to undo the fill plug, then we're going to drain it out through that there. There should only be about 2 litres of oil in the gearbox. However, mine has got a leak on it, so it's probably a bit less. But yeah, again, we're just going to wait for it to drip down, empty itself out, and then we'll replace the sump plug. So it's just the last couple of drips now, so just going to quickly fire that back in. Just going to give it a quick nip with ratchet just so it is secure, and also just pop back in a filler plug. That way we don't lose them when it comes to later on in the build. Just not tighten it fully up, just give it a little nip and it all should be well. Right, so we're now under the back of the car. I'm going to drop the diff oil. This is the one I'm more scared about because the last 2 times I've dropped it, it's been very glittery, which obviously shows something isn't right. But at some point during this build we are going to strip the diff down and have a look from there. You've got 2 24mm bolts. You've got your top one here, that's your drain plug. I'll try and get the camera a little bit closer. You've got your top one there, that's your fill plug. Your bottom one here, that's your drain plug. Yet again, same as when doing gearbox, always crack your top one off first for your fill plug, because if you are coming back to it to fill it up, then you want to make sure that you can fill it up and that it's not seized in. And yet again, also just helps the oil flow a bit better. It can be quite tight coming out, so just go for it a bit with it. Old ratchet. Now I have already cracked these off, so we're hoping the water's going to come out finger tight. There goes the washer off that one, and so far seems to be pretty clean, although that is just the top of the oil. I don't think I've actually driven it too much since changing diff oil, but if it's not glittery then that's a bonus. It might have just been a bit of build up. Oh, and it's actually nice and clean. Bonus. So diffs only hold 1 litre of oil on these, but all you do when you're filling them up is put your tube in the top, start filling it. When it starts coming out at top, you know it's full. Whack your fill plug back in. Yet again, just let it mainly drain out. And then you can whack your plug back in. Not worried about it draining every last drop out, just majority. Because yet again, we are going to be taking it apart, cleaning it all out. So, should be alright. That should do us. Like on everything else we've done, just whack your plugs back in. You don't lose them that way, or when you do come to redoing anything on it, you know that one does sound a bit rough going in, but we're just going to give them both a little nip. That's little nip, and that'll do us. So now we're going to do the fuel. As you can see here, this here is your fuel filter, running off that little pipe soil injector. So all you're going to do is get a set of pair of pliers, undo that, move that down there, and then sometimes they're a bit stuck on. You just give it a bit of a wiggle. Now I'm going to catch this in a fairly large tub if I can. I'm going to try my best to anyway. Sometimes you just need to give it a bit of a push. Now I've got about 3/4 of a tank in this, so I am going to try and save it. Probably just put it in the wives' cart. There we go. That's that seal broken now. Should just be able to pull it off. There we go, it's coming. And hopefully should just drain out. There we go. Now it's going to take a while for that to fill up, so I'm going to turn the camera off, come back to it in a little bit. Obviously it is running through the filter, so the fuel that does come out will be nice and clean. I'm going to put it in jerry cans, and then later on I'll chuck it in our lass's car. Right, so while we're waiting for fuel to drain, may as well get battery disconnected. Now your battery is in your boot on these, and do a little cowling at the back here. So all I'm going to do is, I've got mine tie wrapped on, so just going to cut through tie wrap. Now you'll find that if you're doing it on your own, your piece of fabric might not be tie wrapped on, because it's usually a hard bit of plastic in there, which is nice. I, however, never had the luxury of that. Now we always disconnect his earth first. Now your earth is right at the very back on these, so you will need a 10mm and an extension. Just always try not to arc it out on your live terminal, but you can get to it pretty easily. I'll take the earth off, slot that off over to one side, then you can get to us live. A few turns is all it takes. You don't have to take the bolt fully off, give it a wiggle, and that's off. Now you can move these two over there. Need a 10mm spanner, and then we'll take off the battery tie down. Ratcheting spanners do help, you don't need them, but ask any mechanic. Ratchet spanners are definitely a good thing to have in your toolbox. Now when you're doing this, I'd recommend personally getting your battery out first, just so you don't arc it. Taking off that tie down, I'm going to pop this over on a shelf, and that's now out of the way until it goes back in. So going back to the coolant, don't forget your expansion tank. These 3 bolts holding it in, I've already changed them out for these fancy dress up bolts, but one of them did snap when going in once all engine bay is empty. They're drilling that out, putting a new one in. That way everything should be as it is. Like I say, got a lot of time, money in this car, done a few things a bit dodgy in the past. With this car is what it is, trying to rush and get stuff done, end up cutting corners. This time that won't happen. And while we're at it, we can remove the screen wash. I've done one up to cowl. For the time being, I'm just going to chuck that back there. So while we're over this way and we're still waiting for fuel to drain out, may as well start emptying brake fluid reservoir, clutch reservoir. Find these just on your firewall. I've got a pneumatic. Makes life a bit easier. That's them empty. So what I'll probably do now, put that on there. What we're going to do now is help to keep an eye on bucket full of fuel as well, because we don't want that to overspill. Pop that back on there. Yeah, again, just everything you take off, put back on. I'm going to start back at car. Rear passenger, rear driver, passenger front, driver's front. I'm going to get all wheels off, and then we can suck it out through alt lines and calipers, just get it all empty. So we're now over at the passenger side rear caliper. See your bleed nipple just here. Take that rubber bung off the top. Try and get the light in a bit of a place. There we go. So bleed nipple here. Pop your little rubber cover off. And crack that off a few clicks. Start to run. A bit hard to do this one-handed. Pop the camera down here. Knock that on. Just got to take off the brake fluid reservoir cap and pull it through a bit better. Yeah, probably do that without that on. Gonna let this suck through for a little bit. Then I'm gonna do each of the other corners, and then we'll come back and I'll show you where the clutch slave cylinder is, and we'll pull all fluid out of that as well. So we've drained all the brake fluid. Last thing to drain, clutch slave cylinder. I'm going to try and get in there and show you it a bit better. Just under your driver's side wheel well. I don't think you can see it very well. There is a little nipple there. Just do the exact same thing that you do with your brake fluid. One little thing to remember when doing all the fluids on your car is always dispose of them properly. Don't just tip them down your nearest grate or into a bush. I personally always tip them into an empty 20 litre bottle of old oil, take to my local recycling centre or tip. So all fluids are drained apart from fuel, which is still trickling out very slowly. Obviously need to keep an eye on that, so we're going to crack on. Going to take the bonnet off. So all that holds the bonnet on is 4 14mm nuts and your washer line. So first thing I'll do, pop that off there, and then you've got 2 nuts here, same on the other side. So we'll get that. We'll get us going. Now really, it should be a 2-person job, but if you know what you're doing, you can do it with one. It's just a bit trickier. Just might have to be a tad quick. Joy of the MX-5 bonnet is that it is an aluminium bonnet, so they're not exactly heavy. Yet again, keep all your nuts and bolts, either put them in tubs or bags or anything like that that's labelled, or where you can, put them back on where they go. That way you can't lose them and you know what they're for. We're now in a good position for taking the engine out. Probably going to take the box off first just to make it easier to get out. You can take it out with the box still on. I do have an engine crane, so that would be possible, but it just makes your life a little bit easier if the box is already off. That way it can just come straight up and out. So next, we're just going to do a few little bits, start stripping engine bay down. I'm going to take washer pump off, brake booster line, PCV. We're going to get these bonnet struts off. For time being, that might be it, depending on how long's left on draining this fuel. That seems to be taking forever and a day. Might end up getting wings off yet, we'll see. So obviously I've relocated my washer pump. I'm just going to quickly clip that off. I have set some labels out for putting everything way. I have been having a couple of issues with this washer pump. Last time I went out in car, didn't do anything at all, so not sure if it's a fuse or if it's the washer pump itself, so I can test that while it's out. Hook up a battery onto the positive and negative, see if it still runs. If it does, then it means I've either got a breaking wire, fuse is gone, all that fun stuff. But like I said in the intro, we are going to do a full rewire on the car anyway, so as long as the pump works, then it's going to be okay. Take off brake booster line. Should have probably taken that off before doing washer pump. It made it a bit easier to get to, but hindsight's beautiful, innit? They are literally really easy to take off. You can tell the brake booster's working because it just let out a puff of air. Need a flat-headed screwdriver, and then I can take the PCB valve one off as well. That one's held on with a Jubilee clip, and they do come off as easy as that. Now everything that I am taking off, I am putting little labels on so I can see what's what. They're all going in a box that'll be labelled up as to where they've come from, so like engine bay, boot, interior. That way when I do come and put car back together, I know where everything goes. Struts, these are literally held on with a couple of 10mm. Now if you put these on your car already, you know how to take them off. Don't need to teach you all how to suck eggs. So this video is very just the basics. Not too worried about scratching paint either because it's all getting repainted. Yeah, again, it's just a case of always put your bits back on. They do also bolt into the wing with a little 10mm. So just quickly take that out. And that way they can all live together in the box. Like that. I'll do the other side, but I'll do that off camera. So I'm going to remove the air filter now. All we do is we unplug this plug, take that Jubilee band off, air filter will come off, and then there's two 10mm under there that'll take all this bracket off. That can all then go in the box and we're good to go. Well, this clip can be a little bit of a pain. I do recommend using a small screwdriver. Pick one side off and go in here. Undo the Jubilee clip. And So decided I'm going to get front bumper off now. There's a few little bits. You've got a few 10mm on top. I've got a little panel on here that keeps everything a bit tidier, looks a bit nicer. So I've got a couple of long 10mm under that. So take them out, should then pop off. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more 10mm. They can all go in a little bag. Put on the front bumper at top. I know where they go then. It almost ready to come off. So now got my license plate holder. I believe the 13s. Can go in a different box probably. Then got a load of tie wraps to snip. So all the tie wraps that are holding my grill on. Then got the tie wraps on the side. So we've got snips off. And it's just a case of pulling it forward, disconnecting the side lights and the indicators. I've got low ones, switchback LEDs, so that's the front bumper now off. I need to find somewhere to put it. Can move down the side here for the time being. And now I think it's going to be a case of whipping wings off, a few 10mm, a couple of them are in a bit of a tricky place to get to, but I'll show you where they all are. So got front bumper off now. I'm going to take the wings off, just quickly show you where the bolts are. So you've got one at the front here, 10mm. Should have one there, however mine broke on both sides the last time I took the wings off. You'll have a 10mm here. I've got dress up bolts. You'll have one here, but that hole's currently been used for the struts. One here, and then you need to come under here. You take off all your arch liner, and then there's a secret one at the back, roughly around this swage line here. That's another 10mm. You will need a long extension. We'll also pop out the side lights, disconnect them, or we might just leave them in, but they will have to come out eventually. Anyway, so what I'll do is quickly whip out what I can at the top. Yet again, we're putting all the bolts in bags, so you know where to find them. So pull the camera down here, show you what's going on. So some of these will come, others probably won't. Not. Take snips off, and then pop any clips out. Yet again, set them off to one side so you can find where they go later. And with some of these screw clips, a little trick I've used in the past to help screw them out, put a bit of pressure on them and they can find the threads, put a bit of pressure on them from behind, they will come out. Alright, you can just pop them out, and then we've got, looks to be a couple of 10 mils. Maybe. Come down this side here. Yeah. Couple of 8mm screws. See it again. Can take the arch liner off, and then the ones that I forgot to show you, just take my camera off the tripod. There are two 10mm bolts here and here. I've had to put my own in at some point. Just because the first time I took the wings off, they were rusted in. Obviously we are starting to get a bit of rot coming through here now. When it comes to me putting these back on, I'll have put new sills in it hopefully, and then we can proper bolts back in. Now the other bolt that I mentioned is down the back here. You can see it just at the back. You will need a long extension, and it's just behind your side light wire. So I'll go get a long extension, we'll pull that out, and then that'll be this side wing off. Now if you haven't got a super long extension, you can always put multiple together. And get down the back here. Have a little feel for it. Once you've got it so far, you can even take the ratchet off. Just have a quick look. So I've dropped it down there somewhere, but should now. Of course I've forgotten one that's just in the door, just there. So get yourself onto that one. pop that out. Now I'll be able to take that out. And little screwdriver helps. There we go. We'll label that up. Now, that wing is completely off. Pop it over with bonnet. And see if I can find that little nul that I dropped. There it is. So now can label all these up. Right, so I think last thing we're going to do is take off this slam panel here for today. Never had this off before, so let's see if some bolts snap. There's 4 14 mils at the top, 2 there, and 2 directly beneath them on either side. First one come out nice. Now these bolts on top have been slightly protected by the bumper, so I don't think these will be too bad. It's going to be the ones underneath that cause me a problem, I think. Yeah, all top 4 have come out lovely. But I've got half a feeling that every single one of underneath might snap. Feel pretty coming out, but the first one has come out okay. Wind it back into that top one there to get my socket back that it's stolen from me. Yep, and that's his first casualty on these. Felt that one coming. Yep, this one's going to snap as well, I think. Yep. Second one. So they'll have to be drilled and tapped out. See, before I decided to do this, to the extent that I'm going, I would have said, yeah, 2 will be fine, you know, but like I say, I want to do everything right on this time round. This one don't feel as bad. plastic crash bars off. Out of the 8 bolts holding it on, only 2 have snapped, so not the end of the world. What I'll do is I'll still put them in a bag, tie wrap it to this, that way yet again we know where everything goes. However, I think that is going to be it for me today. Just going to be a case of letting all fuel drain out. Surely got to be there by now, eh? But thank you for watching. Do like, do subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you. Bye bye.